we never met that night out at that dive bar? What if when I looked in your eyes I didn't see stars? What if tequila didn't make me such a try-hard? I wouldn't be here wishing we still had it, sifting through the ashes, retracing steps to try to figure out what happened, looking for a reason, picking up the pieces. You said forever, then decided you didn't mean it. Oh, I don't know if I'd have loved you after all. If I knew how hard I'd fall. What if I told you I'd go with you to that party? What if you never saw your ex down in the lobby? What if I had a better face, a better body? Would I still be here, wishing we still had it, sifting through the ashes, retracing steps to try to figure out what happened, looking for a reason, picking up the pieces. You said forever, then decided you didn't mean it. Oh, I don't know if I'd have loved you after all. If I knew how hard I'd fall, would I run like hell before it all fell apart out of the palm of your hand? So you'd never break my heart. Would I give it away and love you anyway, knowing that someday, oh, I'd be wishing you still had it, sifting through the ashes, retracing steps to try to figure out what happened, looking for a reason, picking up the pieces. You said forever, then decided you didn't mean it. Oh, I don't know if I'd have loved you after all. No, I don't know if I'd have loved you after all. If I knew how hard I'd fall.
Episode 4 of the East Nashville podcast with our guest, Megan Wilder. How's it going, Megan?
Good, how are you?
I'm very good. You are actually our first country music artist on the podcast.
Wow.
How was that?
That's
Nashville, right?
exciting. Yes. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. So what would you define your particular brand of country as? Is it pop country? Is it straight down the middle country? How do you define that?
That's a good question. I feel like I would call it pop country, but it's also, I don't know that I would limit myself to that. And I think that I'm still kind of slowly figuring it out.
Cool.
And it all just kind of ebbs and flows. But I guess, yeah, short answer would be pop country, I guess,
Cool.
for right now.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna broach the topic that I'm most excited about.
Okay.
You're from California, right?
Yes.
So you are also, in addition to being our first country artist, you are our first coastal person. And
wow.
I'm from Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And I've been interviewing these motherfucking, Midwestern people.
Are we allowed to swear?
Yes, we're.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, you can swear.
I just didn't know. I just had to make sure.
I probably should have said that up before we started, but yeah, talk freely.
Great.
Yeah. No, I mean, all the guests have been awesome. But it's fun. You know, coastal people, we have a lot in common, whether it's West Coast or East Coast. You know, we're kind of that same breed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're kind of a contradiction being a coastal country person.
Yes.
Where in California did you grow up?
So I grew up like a little bit outside of San Francisco, in a city called San Ramon.
Okay.
And it is the farthest thing from Nashville.
Sure.
And it'll always be home. But
Yep.
but I think I'm in Nashville to stay.
I feel that way
sure.
too. How long have you been here?
Oh my gosh, it'll be 3 years in June.
Okay.
That's crazy.
So still not that long though.
Not that long, but it also feels like forever
Yeah.
because the first year
Yeah.
just didn't count.
And then we went straight into a pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got here in June of 2019. So
I guess I met you like right when you moved here.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And were you in California completely previous to that, or was there a stop along the way?
No, so I grew up in San Ramon.
Okay.
Lived there until I was 18. Went to college in San Francisco.
Cool.
Lived there for 5 years, and then literally exactly a month after I graduated,
Okay.
I packed up my car and I drove with my mom and my best friend and my best friend's mom all the way to Nashville.
Awesome.
And
That's a hell of a drive.
yeah, it was kind of brutal, but
I've done the drive from LA to Nashville and Vegas to Nashville multiple times. That's brutal. Never mind coming from that upper area.
yeah. Well, so we broke up the trip, obviously, so it was
Yeah.
fun. But Lauren, my best friend, and her mom, at the time lived in LA. Mm-hmm. So my mom and I drove from San Ramon to LA, stayed at their place, picked them up, and then drove from LA to the first stop, which I don't even remember anymore what it was. Arizona.
Okay.
Flagstaff, probably. Yeah, Flagstaff. And then
I love when Phil breaks the fourth wall.
yes, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to not look over here and also talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Being a part of things.
Yeah. Next time we'll mic him up, but I'll have a mute button.
Yes, that's
Shut
perfect.
the hell up, Phil.
But yes, we did Flagstaff. Had a little too much fun in Flagstaff. The next day was brutal.
All right.
Getting up, and for me,
Yeah.
for everybody else was fine, but I had a grand old time. I was like, "We're moving to Nashville!" I was very excited.
That's how you got to do it.
Yeah, and then we did Texas, and then Little Rock, Arkansas, which we just didn't even.
Little Rock's kind of a great town, though.
Is it?
Have you ever played there?
No.
Oh, it's
We just didn't even explore it because by then we were just like ready to be there.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
we were like, screw it. We're just.
I don't remember the name of it, but I had a really good sandwich the morning after I played a gig there, and that's all I care about in life is like coffee,
I mean,
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than a good coffee and a very good sandwich.
Yeah, yeah. So played the gig. They like rock and roll in Little Rock. So,
Wait, they don't like.
No, I said they do. They do. They like rock and roll.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of expected to be playing to a more country-oriented crowd, and of course, I'm sure those people are there in spades. But no, they liked rock and roll. So we had a great gig. Woke up the next day, had a sandwich and a coffee, and I think I headed back to Nashville. I think that was Nashville Day. I don't know. It's
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been here for a while, so it's a
Yeah.
blur.
How long have you been here?
I've been here 8.5 years.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wild.
It really is. It really is.
I feel like there's just always so much going on though that it like flies.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I've been here for forever because I feel like it feels very homey. I feel
Okay.
like at home, and I was super lucky to have already known a handful of people when I moved here,
That is great.
just through other music stuff. And so it's always felt, I'm super lucky that it's always felt very homey. So feels like forever, and then also feels like
Yeah.
2 seconds. But
Okay, another practical question for you.
okay.
So there are really only 2 legitimate music cities left in America. There's Nashville and there's LA.
Yes.
And you're a California person from San Francisco. Why Nashville and not LA? Was that a stylistic choice, or was there's a bug on the mic? Just flick it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ew. I don't
is that?
want to hurt it though. Do you have like a cup?
We'll cut it out if you kill the bug.
I don't want to kill it. I don't like to kill bugs, but I don't like them.
Yeah, just get it out of there. Blow it right into your drink.
Go
That'd
away,
be perfect. This is gonna be the first podcast where there's an edit.
Nope, we're leaving this in.
We're leaving it.
No.
Okay.
There we go.
Here it goes. See? I just
Look at that.
gently.
We were just conservationists.
Yeah.
It's Earth Day.
Oh shit, you're right. If we killed that bug, we'd get canceled.
It's true. I really, I genuinely, like, I don't like bugs, but I also
Yeah.
feel so bad when I kill them.
That's fair.
I can't do it.
I don't think that was a bug that adds to the earth.
Probably not, but it's still a
it fucked
bug.
up our podcast. He's not my friend. Anyway, going back to the question. Why Nashville? Why Nashville and not LA?
Country music.
Okay.
There's just so much country music in Nashville.
Absolutely.
And LA, I feel like there's not really, I mean, at least not that I know of, not as big of a market
Sure.
for that. And sure, I think a lot of people, a lot of well-established country artists will go to LA to write with people and all of that. But I think that for my goals and kind of what I'm going for, here was a better decision for me personally.
Sure.
And also, I just think I needed to get out of California.
Yeah.
Nothing against California. I think I just was ready
Yeah.
for a change. And Nashville was always, like, was literally always in the plans for me. I did not want to go to college. I was like, as soon as I graduate high school, I'm moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
My parents were like, cool, are you gonna go to college in Nashville? And I was like, no. And they were like, okay, well, we would love it if you went to college.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really want to go to college, you guys. And they were like, well, we think you should go to college. And I was like, I don't really want to go. And they were like, okay, well, and they didn't mean this in like a bad way. My parents are amazing and extremely supportive, but they were just kind of like, listen, you either go to college or you're kind of on your own in Nashville. And at 18, thank God, I was smart enough to know that there was no way in hell
Yeah.
I was going to be able to get by on my own, just like fresh out the nest.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, cool. I'll go to college. So I just applied to some places that were close to home, and I
Very
just
cool.
kind of, I don't know. I mean, it was great. I'm super grateful for the experience, and I genuinely, like, I know for a fact I would not be where I am right now had I not gone to San Francisco State, met the people that I met there that led me to one thing, that led me to another thing, that led me to another thing. Like, it all
Absolutely.
just played out the way that it was supposed to. So super grateful for it. But yeah, so it was always in the cards. It was just kind of like, okay, what am I going to do first?
College is definitely like, I mean, it's an opportunity to learn how to be an adult without actually really being an adult yet, you know?
Yes.
It's like...
Yes, exactly. Like, you kind of learn how to be an adult, but you also have an excuse if you, like, mess up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
I'm
going
only
from the
18.
kiddie pool to a pool that's only 4 feet deep,
Exactly.
you know? And then
Exactly.
you're ready for the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so had you been to Nashville before you moved here, or was it brand new?
I had one time, and it was not long before I moved here. Actually, I take that back. Technically twice,
All right.
but I had only, like, I flew here and then literally, like, I stayed with a friend for a night, and then we went and drove
Oh, yeah, that
to
doesn't
Missouri for a gig.
That doesn't
so it
count.
wasn't like,
Yeah.
But I came back and stayed with that same friend, and she showed me around Nashville, and
Very cool.
I was here for a few days, and it was so much fun. And that was already when I had already made the decision. I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
when I was moving out here, but it was just kind of like, I guess I should probably go check it out.
Yeah.
See what I'm getting myself into.
In 2008, I had an ironclad plan to move to Nashville, and then some stuff came up, and I ended up moving to New York instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel this when you talk about college. I feel the same way about New York. I'm really glad that I lived there. I'm glad I had that experience, especially because I'm too crotchety. I'm too grumpy now. I could never live in New York now.
Yeah.
But
Crotchety Chris.
yeah, exactly. But when I moved there, I was 24 when I moved there. So everything was, I was basically straight out of college, and it was awesome. I was so ready to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I had moved to Nashville, I don't know that Nashville would have been ready for me and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I got here, there was already some East Coast transplants.
Right.
So I was able to fall into a little bit of a crowd pretty quick, but it was still really, really limited.
Right.
So like if I had gotten here, so when I eventually got here was the tail end of 2013.
Okay.
So if I had got here in 2008, I think there would have been nobody that liked me. Because even when I did get here in 2013, they're like, whoa, man, you're a lot. And I was like, the fuck's your problem?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm like, who the hell are you?
Like, I don't know, you're kind of abrasive. I was like, what? Abrasive? I'm not talking loud.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, how did you find the social circle here? You said you knew some people, but like lots of friends or like 2?
Like 4.
Okay. So that's a healthy amount.
Yeah. I mean, so I met all these people through other music stuff. So
Yeah.
back in 2017, I had the amazing opportunity to be on The Voice. And
I don't think I knew that.
I never talk about it.
We'll talk about it now. Tell us all about it.
It was so long ago,
Yeah.
and it was an amazing experience. It's not like I avoid talking about it. It's just I just don't talk about it unless it really comes up.
It's like saying you went to Berkeley. People are like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of artists have been on The Voice.
Yeah.
I mean, they do 2 seasons a year. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. A lot of people have been on the show. But that's how I met a lot of my friends out here, and they just all so happened to already live in Nashville. So
Okay.
it's funny, actually, the very first time I ever came to Nashville was when I stayed with my friend. Her name's Anna Catherine, and I met her through the show. We were roommates on the show. And she's become one of my super close friends. She's great. But when I flew in, stayed with her, we drove to a gig in Missouri. And it's funny because when I was there is actually when I figured out where I was going to live when I moved here.
Okay, cool.
So one of my other very close friends, her name's Whitney Fenimore, who I was also on the show with.
Cool.
We were FaceTiming. It's just this whole thing. My other friend, Mitch, who was also on the show, was with us. And he was FaceTiming Whitney and his wife, Taylor. And because they were together, neighbors. And anyway, Whitney was like, Megan, I heard you're moving to Nashville. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you know where you're living at? And I was like, I have no idea. And she was like, okay, well, I have an extra room. I need a roommate. Would you want to come live with me? And I was like, yeah. Of course.
Yep.
And so it all just kind of worked out. And then and then I got adopted into that friend group as well, which
Gotcha.
was
That's amazing.
super, super nice. But anyway, so that's kind of how I knew the people that,
Absolutely.
my friends when I first moved here. And then also obviously meeting other people just through other things. But
So what was the experience of being on The Voice like? Did you make it to the point where you were facing off with the celebrities, and who were the celebrities judging it at that point?
yeah, so on my season, it was Blake Shelton,
Okay.
Jennifer Hudson, Adam Levine, and Miley Cyrus.
Damn.
So,
Pretty solid.
yeah.
Especially
great.
country-wise.
Yeah, for sure. And And so I was eliminated in the knockouts. So I think I was on like 3 episodes. So
Cool.
it wasn't like anything crazy.
That's still
But
awesome.
no, it was it was great. It was
Yeah.
really fun. And honestly, like at the time, and probably still now, one of the coolest things I've ever done. Just
Yeah.
the experience and learning so much. And I mean, the crew, like the network, the coaches, everybody is genuinely like so nice. And
Like LA nice or actually nice?
no, like nice. Like when we did because there's rounds of auditions before you actually get to
Yeah.
the blind auditions.
Yeah.
And so when my group found out we were going to the blinds, the casting director, I love her, she's great, but she's like the head of casting.
Okay.
And she pulled us all into a room and she was like, you guys are going to blinds. And we were like, oh my God. And then she was like, okay, hold on. And we were like, what? And she was like, if I see any of you guys being disrespectful to the cast, the crew, your castmates, like the hotel staff, because we were sequestered in a hotel for a month before
Okay.
blinds. And then
wow.
they put you up in a hotel while you're on the show and all of that. She was basically like, if I see you being mean to anybody, you will be gone so fast.
And honestly, that is the greatest music industry lesson of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
You need
and I watched
everybody.
I watched people that I liked
Yeah.
get sent home before blinds because their egos were just huge, and they were complaining about song choices and complaining about the band, who is literally the most amazing band ever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they are a fantastic band, the best band I've ever worked with. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
And-
Because they have to be.
they have to be, yeah. And I watched people get sent home. Like she
Yeah.
was not kidding. And it was nice because it did kind of weed out some of the people that maybe were not super nice.
Yeah.
And it just made for a really, really great experience.
Good.
At least for me personally. But yeah, it was really cool. And
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of really cool people and learned a lot. And I was a baby. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still kind of a baby, but I was 20 when I was on that show.
Damn.
And I turned 21. I literally flew out to start filming after I made it onto the show. I flew out on my 21st birthday.
Cool.
And I was like, this is the best 21st birthday ever.
It really is.
Completely sober. Like we weren't like allowed to drink.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like, this is awesome. I don't need alcohol. I'm drunk on life.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, what a huge opportunity so young.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I really think that is like the greatest music industry lesson of all time, because no matter how good you are, until you really have a career, like a real career, you're nothing.
Right.
And all it takes is a bartender to say to a booking agent, I hate when that guy plays here or that girl plays here. I hate when they play here. That person is such a jerk.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And you're done.
And I think even when you have a big career, like it's just not
I mean, yeah, you should still be humble.
be
Yeah.
just be nice. It's
Yeah.
so much
so easy.
easier
Yeah.
to just be nice.
Yeah.
Like you literally have to go out of your way to be mean to people. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't understand whatever. But yeah. No, I agree. It is a good.
I'm always
Good lesson.
impressed with like when people tour through our local venues here. I'm always blown away when they're finishing off their set, whether they're playing to a packed room or they're playing to 7 people,
Mm-hmm.
when they know each bartender's name. You know, they're calling out to the sound guy, I mean, that's a special kind of memory, first of all.
Yeah.
But like,
It's a lot of names to remember.
yeah, but that's a good performer.
Oh, yeah,
Somebody
absolutely.
who realizes none of this is possible without each and every
None
one
of
these
it would be
people.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
I also like when that same person is a little rude to the audience.
Wait, what do you mean?
I like when people heckle the audience a little bit.
Oh, like the performer?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
when they're
oh.
like a little sarcastic towards the audience.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. If it's funny.
I don't know that I've seen that yet, or maybe I just haven't noticed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would notice it.
It really, yeah.
What?
It depends on the style of music.
He does that.
Oh.
Oh, I do that. Yeah.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
like, is the bug back?
Chris does that. That's why he likes it.
Yeah,
okay, okay.
And that's why it's fresh on
Well,
my
then I'll
mind.
have to come to one of your shows so I can see you heckle the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
My, you know, a really good ovation after a song, I'll just be like, shut up. But they know I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of a,
I feel like you could get away with that, though. Like, there's no way I could get away with that.
it takes,
If I told the audience to shut up, people would be like, excuse me?
yeah, what? Yeah,
Excuse you?
yeah,
Yeah. That's funny.
yeah. I do stupid stuff.
That's fine.
And I enjoy it. So, whatever. Like this podcast. No, I've been enjoying
That's
this so
great.
much. It's like it's a real opportunity to take somebody you're friends with, but you haven't known them your whole life.
Right.
And really kind of get to know them a little
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this podcast? It's like fairly new, right?
Yes, it's very new.
What episode is this?
This is number 4.
Nice.
Yes. So we're really trying to portray, truthfully portray the industry here. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of conscious of, you know, we had 2 dudes on. Now let's have a couple of women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's make sure that it just doesn't end up being too skewed. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I don't want to portray the scene here as like all men or all white people or any of that. So
Yeah.
we're definitely going to try to really represent all areas of the scene here.
Nice.
So
I
yeah.
love it.
You have a new single.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called If I Knew.
Okay.
It came out on April 1st. So I don't even know how many weeks ago that was. What is that? 3? 4? 3?
Yeah, about 3.
3. Dang, that's crazy. That is also one of those things that like feels like 2 seconds ago and then also feels like forever ago already.
Yeah. How long ago did you write it?
I wrote it all the way back in 2020, actually.
Okay.
So I mean, it had been 2 years since I released anything. And I released my very first single, Hopeless Romantic, right before the pandemic. So like
Okay.
right before everything just
Yeah.
went crazy. Maybe like a month before that. And so things kind of got crazy and weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really just spent the last 2 years just writing like a ton.
awesome.
And really just kind of like figuring out who I am and who I want to be as an artist. And in that process, I kind of learned like, I mean, I learned a lot, but I also just I learned what is actually feels like me and
Cool.
what is just things that are cool, but that I think other people would want to hear more than like I actually want to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely. It's a hard distinction to make when you're writing something and you feel like, oh, people will really like this.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's not really me. It's not really who I am.
Right.
And it takes a lot of maturity to be like, yeah, this is fun and people would like it, but it's not right for me. It's not right for what I do.
Right. Well, and it's just like I don't know, like I feel like there's just it's so much easier to get excited about something that you truly love rather than getting excited about something that you think other people might like.
Yeah.
Because then you get too attached to the results and you can't control the results. And then it's like you just end up disappointed in the end because you're like, oh, people are going to love this and I'm going to get so many streams and da-da-da. And like, you don't know if other people are going to love it.
It's never the thing you think it's going to be either.
Right, exactly.
The stuff you really think is going to fly, that's the stuff that doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially like by the time you get it out. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, I wrote this song in 2020.
Yep.
And 2 years later I released it. And it's like, I didn't write this thinking, oh, other people are going to love this. I wrote it for me.
Cool.
And I've had a really great response to it. And I think that just being excited about your own music for you
Yeah.
is just a lot more rewarding than putting it out for other people.
It's amazing that you're there already. I feel like
Thank you.
I'm just getting there, and I'm definitely much older than you.
I did a lot of like self-reflection and like just, I mean, like journaling every day and reading self-help books and asking people questions and just trying to like learn as much as I could about myself. I think also within those 2 years, and finally felt ready to like release music. But I mean, I think if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have like that same mindset. I don't know.
Yeah. Sidebar, is there a self-help book that you found particularly useful?
Ooh, there's 2.
Awesome.
Okay. So there's one, and it's called You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness, and something, something, something. But you'll find it. It's a long title, but it's called You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness. Whatever.
Phil, find out what the end of that book is and who wrote it.
Yes.
And
It's by
he'll get back to us.
Jen Sincero,
Okay.
I think is how you say her last name. But she has a couple of books, and there's some about like you are a badass at making money. And
Oh, cool. So it's like a series.
yeah, there's like a bunch of different ones. And it's kind of just about like limiting like negative beliefs about yourself. And like they are a thing. Like,
Yeah, totally.
It is so wild. Like I did not realize how mean I was to myself.
Yeah.
Before I started reading these books. Okay, and then the other one is called Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies.
It's in the title?
It's literally what it's called.
Awesome.
And it's by Tara Schuster?
Okay. Schuster?
Schuster?
I know that name, yeah.
I think she does like Comedy Central stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, it's hilarious. And I love a book that can make me laugh, but that can also help me.
Yeah.
Because over the last 2 years, I've just been like, help.
Yeah.
Help me.
I was laughing before because right before we started filming, I literally called myself a fat, sweaty pig.
Yes. And I was going to bring that up, but I was like, I don't know if I do or not.
No,
but
everybody, if anybody's watching this by now, they know I'm crazy. So no, I have no secrets.
You're not crazy.
Oh damn!
You're not crazy. You're not crazy. You are who you are.
Yeah. No. So what's the name?
And
of
that's
that
not a
book?
bad thing.
The name of the book is, and you're right, this is quite the title.
Yeah.
It is You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life.
There we go.
You Are a Badass. How to stop.
How to stop doubting your greatness and living an awesome life.
There it is.
And it is $8.45 on Amazon or $28.50 on Audible.
Okay.
Get it on Amazon. You don't need to listen to the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to
Look,
space
Bezos
out.
is not going to be able to buy that next yacht if we don't get it.
Yeah. We really need to support Jeff Bezos.
Shit, you're right.
I don't know who the Audible people are, but I'm sure they're fine too.
I just think you don't need to pay $30 to listen to something.
Well, and it's about time
we
that-
all put music out that people pay $5 a month to listen to.
Yeah. And it's about time that Amazon sponsors this podcast.
Because they don't pay for Spotify.
Exactly, that too. I'm like, why do you need to pay $30 for a book? That was mean of me, though. No, go support her. She's great. Pay $30.
It's all good.
Or buy an actual book.
I like a physical
Yes.
copy of a book.
Yeah, totally.
Like I have a Kindle that I like don't even know where it came. I don't even know where it came from, to be honest with you. I acquired a Kindle somehow, and I don't like it as much as I thought I would, because I like to. I'm also like one of those annoying people that's like, okay, I'm only gonna start this chapter if I know I have time to finish it, and then so I'll like count the pages before like the next chapter.
I do that too.
Otherwise, I'm just like I don't want to stop in the middle of a chapter.
No, you don't want to stop in the middle of a thought.
Right. Exactly.
Because then you have to start at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I stop in the middle of the chapter, I'm starting that chapter over.
And then sometimes I just forget about the book. And then I have to restart the book.
Yeah.
And so I have to be like committed, you know?
Getting back to your single.
Yes. Sorry.
No. I love the flow of this. But this is a very important Nashville question.
Okay.
You're single. Co-write? You wrote it yourself? If it was a co-write, how many people were on the team? Like, how does that work?
Co-write.
Okay.
So me and Andrew Hannigan wrote the song together in 2020. We had a version of it that is very, very similar, almost identical to the version that is out now. But we took it to our friend Whitney Dean, and we went into the studio. He's got an amazing studio in Alabama, in Newmarket. It's like this super small town right outside of Huntsville.
Okay.
And I love going there because it's so hard to get distracted because I think that the town is like literally a couple of miles. Like it's very small.
Okay.
There's not a lot of people. Like you have to drive into Huntsville to like do anything.
Okay.
So it's super easy to just like focus. And anyway, so we took it to Whitney Dean, and Whitney and Andrew produced it. But when Whitney listened to it, he was just kind of like, this is awesome. But what about like, what if we did this with the chorus?
Sure.
And so we kind of changed a couple of things. And now it is what it is.
Awesome.
Still same idea and like message as before, just we changed a couple of things in the chorus, thanks to Whitney Dean. So
Very cool.
yeah, so I wrote it with them, and then Whitney and Andrew produced it as well, and it's like a small village, I feel like, that worked on it. Always is.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it was a long time coming. Like we recorded it in 2021.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly. I think it was,
Did you record it in Alabama as well? Mm-hmm. Okay.
yeah, produced, recorded all of it in Alabama.
Gotcha.
We did it in like a couple of days. We just like kind of,
Just knocked it out.
yeah. A couple of long days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
would
did
have
it.
to be.
Yeah. But I think it was, I remember it being really hot. So I think it was in like the summer of 2021.
Okay.
And then I like sat on it for a while. Like I had it and it was done. Like it was mixed, and I think the only thing I needed to do was get it mastered.
Cool.
But I don't know. I think like it's so, I actually posted about this on Instagram like the other day, but the song, when Andrew and I were writing it, we were not originally writing it for me. We were going to, like, we had a couple of other artists in mind that we were going to pitch to. I have a lot of friends that are more like pop artists.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple of them in mind that we were going to pitch to. Like the demo was like a piano, like pop kind of a vibe, and it had like synth and like,
Wow.
it was really cool, but it was not. Like when I tell you we were not writing the song for me, like we were not writing the song for me at all. And but of course, like as a songwriter, like you're writing from like your own experiences and everything.
Totally.
And so we got a good demo, and I kept listening to it, and I didn't pitch it to anybody like, hey, would you want to cut this?
Yeah.
I showed it to a couple of my friends and that are also like writers and artists, and they were like, wait, this is really cool. But I wasn't like showing it to them being like, do you want to cut this? Like there was just something about it that I was like, I don't know that I'm like ready to like let go of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that feels right. Mm-hmm. And I sat on it for a really, really long time. And then Andrew was like, are we going to do something with this? And I was like, maybe I do something with this. And I think the longer I sat on it and the longer I thought about it, the more that I realized that I wasn't okay with somebody else telling the story, and that it was like so personal, like much more personal to me than I think I realized when we were writing it.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting too, just like after we finished writing it and everything was like done, I just like, there was this like weight I felt like that was like lifted off of my shoulders that I like didn't even know was there
Absolutely.
before. And it was just like this super weird, but in a good way, unexpected like closure and healing that kind of came from it. It was just, I think, a lot of just buried like emotions and things that I didn't want to address.
Awesome.
And it all just kind of came out, and I was like, maybe this is my song.
Yeah, yeah.
So we took it from a pop piano ballad to a country heartbreak
Very cool.
song.
This leads right into a question that like hasn't been addressed on this podcast yet. And it's really like, it's funny because co-writing is such a Nashville staple.
Yeah.
But it is literally my worst nightmare.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, not that I'm any sort of accomplished songwriter or anything like that, but writing a song with another person is my worst nightmare. Not only in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing a song, or when I'm writing a song, I'm usually singing pretty badly for a while. Just
That's
kind of,
okay.
You know what I mean? Just like searching for the melody, searching for the harmony associated with the melody. So for a while, it pretty much sounds like I can play guitar, but I'm also tone deaf. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good. And then if you're actually writing lyrics that are personal to you, the idea of bouncing that off another human being and then being like, yeah, I don't know about that. It's just like, how dare you say that? Like, I would collapse like somebody put a car on top of my head. Like,
Right.
Oh, I couldn't do it, and I've never done it, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Have you always co-written? And if not, how did you become okay with that experience? Okay with putting something really emotional out there and then having somebody right across the room from you possibly reject it?
So when I first started writing, I was writing by myself. I mean, like, I would write when I was like really young. Literally like in middle school, I would like sit, and instead of taking notes, I'd be like writing songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like, get in trouble because like the teacher would come over and be like, "What are you doing?" And it would be like a song about like a boy that I thought I loved when I was 11, and not the history notes I was supposed to be writing down. And I literally I would get like my notebook taken away, which
really
stupid.
Productive,
Yeah,
really
like
productive of a
defeats-
school, yeah.
Whatever. Anyway,
Let's stifle
so
someone's creativity.
right, I know.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I wrote by myself, and I really, honestly, I didn't start co-writing with people. I think I kind of started co-writing with people right before I moved to Nashville.
Okay.
And I would do some remote co-writes with friends out here, just over FaceTime. And then I had a couple people in San Francisco that I would write with, but I don't know. There was something about, I'm also just kind of an open book. I'm very, I feel lucky to not, I just kind of tell people
Yeah.
Everything right off the bat.
Sure.
And I just don't, it doesn't bother me. But I can understand how it's scary for other people, because my friend Mitch put it this way, a long time ago, actually. He said, selling your music is not it's not like we're selling AC units. We're going door to door and we're like, hey, do you want to buy this
Yeah.
AC unit? And people are like, no, I don't want that. And we're like, okay. And we go to the next one. This is personal stuff. And it's our feelings and emotions that we put into a song. And so when somebody says, I don't like that, it hurts
Yeah,
a
totally.
lot more than it would if you were selling a pair of shoes or
Yeah.
an AC unit or something else that's not you didn't put your time and your energy into.
Yeah.
And so I feel
and
that's
it's not intrinsic to who you are.
Exactly.
Unless you designed that AC unit, but
exactly. Yes.
a lot of electrical engineers going door to door.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I think that like naturally I'm just a very open person, but I understand how it can be scary for a lot of people because it is I think also though, if you are writing with somebody that's like, that idea sucks, like you shouldn't write with that person.
Oh, totally.
Because like that's just not like you shouldn't say that to somebody. Like there are much nicer ways that people can be like, I don't know, maybe I like the idea that you're going with, like let's run with it, but maybe we can find a different way to say it, or like something along those. I don't know, like I mean, it depends too. Like if we're writing for me, like a lot of times, like I feel like yes, like the co-writers, like they obviously care and they want to like it too. But if they know I'm going to release a song and that sounds like something I would say and that goes with my sound, if it's not their sound but it is mine, like
that's interesting.
You know, like they're gonna be like I've written with people where
I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, where I'm like, oh, that line is really cool. I wouldn't say that. But it fits them and their personality and their sound so well. Yeah. So yeah, let's do it. And it turns out to be a great song.
That's really
like it doesn't always have to be 1000% true to you if it's not for you.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I've never really thought about co-writing in that context in terms of it being like, here we are, this is a co-write. But it's a co-write with the intention of being this person's song. Right. I've never really thought about it that way. And it's funny because, like, you know, the songs I've written are all very, very personal. Yeah. And I'm that open book type too. Mm-hmm. But, like, in the creative process, I don't know that I've ever been that vulnerable with, like, when I write a song, the first 10 people I show it to, I'm just horrified at what they might think or say. Right. And the worst thing they ever say is, oh, that sounds kind of like John Mayer. And then,
you're like, yes.
No, I'm going to deck you right now.
You don't want to sound like John Mayer?
I don't want to sound like John Mayer.
Okay, never mind. Dang it.
It's the jazzy chords thing. It's the jazzy chords. As soon as you add a major seventh to a chord, somebody's like, oh, that sounds like John Mayer. It sounds nothing like John Mayer. You just heard that run through the hall of my high school song, 1320.
That's such a good song. Ugh. I love that song. It takes me back to on my way home from swimming lessons in the back of my mom's minivan, going to Dairy Queen. Yeah. That was I don't even know how old I was. I was probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah, and my music is nothing like that. Nobody's listening to it in a minivan. People are listening to it under their covers weeping. Like, okay. That's where I'm
That's
going.
Not a bad thing.
No, I'm happy with it.
That's great.
But when someone's like, it sounds like John Mayer, I'm like, ugh, don't even say that to me.
I get it.
But anyway, the point being that, like, the idea of, and maybe that's my, like, you know, Massachusetts upbringing where, like, and also, you know, around the time I grew up, that, like, if you have a feeling as a teenage boy, as an adult man even, you better not have feelings. Somebody's going to call you some unsavory words, at least a wuss, if you have feelings. Yeah. So the idea of sitting in a room writing about my feelings with another human being, ugh. Yeah. When it's finished, I can show it to other human beings, and I still hate it for a little bit. But I mean, it's the same thing when I'm writing essays. Like, if somebody was looking over my shoulder and the first few people who read it, it's just like, oh, I hate this so much.
Yeah, of course, because it's personal to you and you want it to be perfect before you show it to anybody. Yeah. And I get that. Because I think I'm more that way when I write songs by myself.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Like, I'm more, like, self-conscious about showing it to other people because I'm like,
okay.
There's only one brain on this song. Yeah. Not that makes it not a good song.
No,
but
of course
for
not.
Me, I don't know. I get it, though, because you want it to be, like, done and finished before you show it to anybody.
Yeah, yeah. And Yeah, it really is such an interesting concept to me.
Yeah.
Co-writing, because you're amalgamating your experience with somebody else's and somebody else's opinions and all that sort of stuff. And I can see why it leads to more relatable songs and so on and so forth.
Because you're getting multiple points of view,
exactly.
and a way to, like, it can still be specific, but there's also a way to kind of generalize it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, for example, like, If I Knew is extremely personal to me.
Okay.
But I also wrote it with somebody who did not go through that same situation. And so it was like, okay, how can we say this that, like, makes sense to everybody?
Okay.
You know, like, I know the story. I know what I'm talking about. But, like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. As you're saying it, I can really understand, you know, but it's so interesting. Sorry, not to make this about me.
No, you're fine. Make it about you, please. Please.
I wrote a song recently about something very personal and traumatic that happened to me. And I was showing it to people for the first time ahead of this gig I just played. And I prefaced it, like, with this whole story. And I was like, I'm going to tell this story at the gig. And it's a horrific story. And I really didn't think the song would make sense without the story.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest things that came out of that was that these music people that I was playing it for were like, that's a really universal, relatable, there's something about it is like, and I was like, what? What do you mean? That it's so specific to this thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
So that aspect of music is so funny. How you can write something that feels so insanely personal and specific, yet it can also be universal.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the beauty of music and songwriting too, is that it kind of helps you to realize you're not the only person that's going through
Sure.
a bad situation or a great situation or whatever. It's like, I mean, think about, like, all of the albums that you'd listen to. Like, for me, like, in high school, all of the albums that I listened to that got me through
Totally.
a lot of things. Like, those were all, like, specific. Like, Taylor Swift didn't sit down and say, I'm going to write this for a 14-year-old girl that lives in San Ramon.
Yeah. Sure.
To help her get over a boy that she thought she loved.
Yeah.
Like, it's all, like, super personal. And I feel like that's the beauty of it, though, is that, like, we are all so much alike. And we're all we're just so much more, like, similar to each other than we
Of course.
realize.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, even something that feels like, oh, I'm the only person in the world that would understand this
Yeah.
is, I don't know. For me, I think that's makes me feel better
Cool.
to know that like, there are people that can relate to your music and that they can get it and that you're not alone, whether
really
you're making the music or whether you're listening to it.
Okay, so shifting to your childhood and coming up through songwriting, who were your favorite songwriters early on, and how early, like, because you're a kid in California, how early do you shift towards country? Are your parents country music fans? Like, what, I didn't hear country music until I was pretty old.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up on, Nirvana and Metallica and Pantera and all this. And it was funny because it's older than me. But because country music wasn't popular where I grew up, I didn't hear it until way later. So what was country popular where you grew up? And tell me about all that.
So country music was not super popular
Cool. That would be
where I
my
grew up.
assumption, but I didn't want to assume.
Yeah, I think as I got into like high school, it started to become a lot more popular. But when I was really young, no, it was not at all. I think we had like one country radio station, and it played just all of like the hits, like
Sure. That
Tim
90s
McGraw
country. Yeah.
and like Martina McBride
Totally.
and Reba and
Yeah.
just the hits that everybody knows somehow.
Absolutely.
And so I would hear those, and I always loved Martina McBride. I've always loved like a good like powerhouse song.
Sure.
And but my dad would put that on the radio when we were driving.
The country station or just that artist?
The country station.
Okay, cool.
So I would hear it then.
Okay.
But I didn't grow up in like a super like country loving
Sure.
household. I grew up in a very musical household. My dad was super, like he was always playing the guitar, the piano, or singing or whatever. And so him and I would sing together. And when I was really little, he taught me how to do, I don't have, it's like a very vague memory because I was so young. But you know that song that's like, God, it's like do 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 do.
Oh yeah, Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would do the do 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 do, and then I would do the do do do, and we would like play it together.
Of course.
And so he taught me that, and then but yeah, he was always super just musically inclined, and he would write songs. And
Is he a professional musician or just
No.
somebody who it was his outlet?
it was just his outlet.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I think that that's just kind of where I got that. And then when I was like 3 or 4, I discovered Britney Spears
Hell yeah.
and literally wanted to be her. Like
Yeah.
I have pictures of me dressed up as her for Halloween. Like I wanted to be Britney Spears.
That's adorable.
And so that, I think too, just like, there was just always this natural, like there's no real like story, honestly, behind like where I got my love for music, other than that, like, I think my dad inspired me a lot, and
Yeah.
he kind of, it was just around, but it's just, it was always just kind of there. And I just have always loved like performing. Like I would put on Britney Spears. Well, I had my mom put on Britney Spears, or as I got a little bit older, like Avril Lavigne and Hilary Duff and all those people in
Yeah.
my little CD thing, and after school, and I would just spend hours, like literally hours in the living room,
Yeah.
just singing their songs and pretending that I was at my own concert. And
You were built for the voice, is what you're saying. You were genetically designed to be on The Voice.
I don't know about that, but it's always something that I've like loved to do.
Yeah.
I just love to sing and
Yeah.
perform. And eventually I discovered songwriting, and I had a lot of energy as a child that I did not necessarily know what to do with. I didn't know how to channel it, and
Yeah.
a lot of it was anxiety that I didn't know was anxiety, that nobody knew was anxiety. Like it just wasn't really talked about
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was a kid. And again, my parents, fantastic people. They raised me very well. I had an amazing childhood. It was just
That
nobody
doesn't mean they can see through
exactly
you. And,
like
yeah,
I did not
no,
know how
that's-
to articulate
Yeah.
those emotions and feelings. I would just
Absolutely.
kind of like act out. And so eventually as I got a little bit older, I realized like, oh, I can like write my own songs. And so
Yeah.
I would write things that like, I found actually some old lyrics the last time I was home, and I was dying. Like they were very funny. They just didn't make any sense. Horrible stuff.
I
but
mean, you should be ashamed of yourself. What were you, 5 or 6? Like, God, get it together, Megan.
I think I was probably like 8 or 9 is when I started writing like my own songs. But anyway, God, I forgot where I was going with that. But
Sorry, I interrupted.
no, you're fine. No. Anyway, I think that like I discovered that songwriting could be an outlet, and that was kind of like one of the only ways that I truly felt like I could articulate how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And nobody really had to understand. It was just like, I was able to put words to it because I didn't show anybody.
That is so emotionally mature at such a young age to have the feeling that nobody has to understand.
I don't know that I was like 9 and I was like, I'm going to write a song and nobody has to understand it. But like
to even have anything in the realm of that feeling, that's very
Right.
emotionally mature.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would just kind of write things down that like, even now, like when I look back at it, I'm like, I have no idea what I was going through then, but clearly it was something. And
Something.
Yeah, something was happening. And that was just kind of how I dealt with it. And
Cool.
then obviously that progressed as I got older to just continuing to write. But I didn't show these songs to anybody. Like
Yeah.
it was just a way for me to channel that energy. But yeah.
What was the first song that you remember? Like from, maybe not from a songwriting standpoint, but what was the first song you remember that just totally knocked you on your ass? That was like, this is the most powerful thing I've ever heard.
Oh, you guys are going to laugh.
Doesn't matter if we laugh.
You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift. I was in 6th grade.
Yeah, that sounds like,
And
this sounds dead on.
I literally, you guys, I remember going to my friend Kimberly. I'm not going to say her last name because I just won't. But her name is Kimberly. And she was like, she lived in my neighborhood. We were really, really good friends. And I went to her house and I was like, Kim, have you heard this song yet by Taylor Swift? Like, and I played it and I just started like crying because it was like, I had the fattest crush on this guy named Austin. And he really liked this girl named Lindsay.
Oh, it's always a Lindsay.
And he didn't like me. Like we were just friends. And I was like, he doesn't like me. And like she was like a cheerleader, like she'd cheer. And so it was like this, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. She's cheer captain, I'm on the bleachers. And I was like, and I just felt like it like summed up, like I was so, like I really, really liked this guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, so honestly, that song is like probably like, yeah, I mean, that was like, I think the first song that I can remember that like really
Yeah.
got me in my feels that I like really
Sure.
related to.
And
But
that's
yeah.
like, that's that age.
Yeah.
That's that age where you start developing taste and you start feeling things on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have those, you have your first crushes, you have your first love, you have
Yeah.
all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff where all of a sudden everything in these songs becomes applicable to you.
Yeah.
So like, when you're 3 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old,
Right.
you can hear the most powerful thing on the planet. It doesn't mean it applies to you. It doesn't mean you'll have a bond with it,
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. That's so funny though that like, cause I've never thought about that. But as soon as you asked that question, I was like, You Belong With Me, Taylor Swift.
Bam. I love that.
Boom. Yeah.
So you played your single for us earlier. What's the song you're gonna play for us now?
So I'm going to play for you guys now is actually the next single.
Ooh. Wait, it's not
And-
even released yet?
No, it's not out yet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's called Love Me More Than Leaving.
All right.
And it's coming out. I don't have an exact release date for it yet, but it's going to be in May.
All right.
I have the shoot for it tomorrow.
Cool.
I'm super excited. But yeah, so that'll be the next one.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was really fun.
So much fun.
All right.
If he breaks my heart, I can't say I didn't know. By the way he's hiding underneath his brooks, he never seems to fold. He keeps his women close, but he keeps his pistol closer. He sure knows how to rope her in, but he don't know how to hold wish he was all mine, but ooh, I know exactly how it's gonna go. I let him hang his hat by my front door till I find somebody else's dress on his bedroom floor, and I'll be kicking myself for believing he could love me more than leaving. Yeah, he'll ride off, kick up dust, and leave me in the clouds, wondering what he does with all the hearts he doesn't keep around. Will he always find someone new to use, or was I young and dumb to think that he was smooth like an Amarillo skyline, blue eyes making me wish he was all mine, but ooh, I know exactly how it's gonna go. I let him hang his hat by my front door till I find somebody else's dress on his bedroom floor, and I'll be kicking myself for believing he could love me more than leaving. Oh no, no, no. Ain't it a damn shame you're so pretty? I used to feel bad for you 'cause you're empty, but tumbleweeds don't belong in the city. Guess that's why you had to be smooth like an Amarillo skyline, blue eyes making me wish he was all mine, but ooh, I know exactly how it's gonna go. I let him hang his hat by my front door till I find somebody else's dress on his bed.